what do the following have in common? David Beckham, a ship with no sails, a very weird airship, and a new type of generator. The answer is they all rely on something called the Magnus Effect. And I've come to California to meet a man who thinks it might just change the world.
Fred Ferguson has been filling the Californian skies with some very odd spinning shapes for the last 30 years.
Okay, let's start going.
And he now thinks one of his designs can tap into a limitless supply of high-altitude wind energy by exploiting a natural phenomenon called the Magnus Effect. To see the effect in action,
Get a little motor, you stuff a plastic lemon on it, and stick it to the front of a car. Now, if I were to spin that lemon up, like that, it starts dragging air around with it. If I were to blow at the side of that lemon, the air at the front gets whipped out the way, the air at the back gets kind of stacked up with the air dragged by the lemon, and the vehicle should go that way. Magnus Effect car.
Still confused? You can see how the Magnus Effect makes something go in not quite the direction you'd expect when you watch one of David Beckham's free kicks. Not one of your best, David. But watch this and you might do better next time. A spinning ball drags some air around with it. Where this air meets the air it's flying through, you sort of get an air pileup on one side of the ball. This increases the air pressure on that side, giving the ball a push. That's the Magnus Effect. And it's this effect that's intrigued many inventors, such as Anton Flettner in the 1920s. He designed a sailing ship without sails. It used an engine to turn giant spinning cylinders. He hoped that just like with my lemon, the spin of the cylinders would, in a sideways wind, push the ship forward. And it worked.
The only problem was the ship would have gone a whole load faster if they'd used the engine to turn a propeller instead. So that's drawing board 1, inventors nil.
But Fred Ferguson wants to improve on that score. He's a Magnus Effect fanatic, and we met up for a spot of kite flying in the Californian hills.
Oh, look at that.
I just had your normal type of kite, while Fred's, of course, was a Magnus Effect kite. It uses its spin to create lift and stay up in the air.
It looks fantastic. Mine's like a constant battle for control, whereas yours just sits there quite happily. It just loves it. There's so much more energy.
Yeah, that's it. Good old Magnus Effect doing what it's supposed to do.
But like many before him, Fred's attempts to use the Magnus Effect have barely got off the drawing board. Although some of his prototypes, like his airship from the 80s, have looked totally out of this world.
The Magnosphere airship was very UFO kind of looking, but that design had a reason. It was a rotating sphere that generated a lift as the sphere moved forward.
It looks brilliant, and as the Magnus Effect helped give the airship lift, it was cheap to run, but sadly, not cheap to build. It would have been $100 million to make a full-scale model. His UFO was grounded. But 30 years later, Fred realised that with a bit of adapting, he could turn his airship into a way of getting electricity out of really high, fast-blowing winds.
The Magnus rotating sphere airship would actually freewheel in a wind. So I thought, well, what if we put bigger blades on it, like a paddle wheel? Would it generate energy?
He turned his airship into a mobile, wind-powered electricity turbine. The Magnus Effect helps provide the lift to carry his turbine 1,000 meters high and hold it steady in the fast winds that are such a great source of power.
Finally, we're going to see the Magnus Effect doing something to help energy out. The energy is there, and we have the ability to collect a bit of that energy and convert it to electricity and maybe help improve things.
At the moment, Fred's designs are just prototypes. But if he can perfect it, he could succeed where countless inventors have failed and fully harness the power of the Magnus Effect.